So I was talking about mounting the reload, the little programmable load in a nicer box, and here is the nicer box that I picked up from Amazon. I also got a, this is a 500 milliamp panel ammeter, analog ammeter. I'm probably going to put a switch that goes between like 0 to 500 milliamps and 0 to 3 amps. You know, you just switch a shunt resistor in across the terminals and it will drop the effective sensitivity. I also got this, which I didn't order. I don't know where this came from. It appears it's like for juicing vegetables. So apparently, the amazing nut milk bag. Apparently, I believe somebody ordered this and is probably not too thrilled right now. Fill the amazing nut milk bag with grain or seed. Cover with plenty of water and soak. Lift, wring out, blah. That's hilarious. Who the hell drinks shit like that anyways? Vegetables are what food eat. Anyways. Somebody's rather sad, I guess. I'm unsympathetic. So this is just a little Bud Industries die-cast aluminum box. This one's a little, they sell really like, unfinished aluminum boxes. This one has a slightly brushed finish, which is kind of the reason I actually went for it. It's also extremely thick. So what I'm going to do is I'm probably just going to, you know, this will just kind of live down there, and I'll mount, you can mount the TO220 device on the underside of the board, and then I'll just put a screw through there and bolt it to the casing. And the one thing I haven't checked is whether the tab on this is hot, in which case I might need to track down a silt pad. So let's see, let's go to that. Yeah, the tab is connected. So the problem with that is that means that when I bolt it to the case will be connected. There are insulation tools for that, which I will just have to get a hold of. Other things I have are just some Zener diodes for something else, and this is a 10-turn pot to give me much better adjustment precision. So, you know, this is just kind of what it takes to turn it into a much more pleasant to use device. So I'm just going to have to quickly, since this is a $5 panel meter, you don't really get any mechanical information. But it appears I'm going to have to drill a hole and mount that there. And then we'll just have banana plugs, pot, and a switch. It's a cute little meter. Actually, yep, 330 milliamps. Oops, railed it. So the nice thing about this is, since it's got to be pretty low impedance internally, it can probably even handle, you know, 1 or 2 times overscale without damaging it too meaningfully. That's pretty funny. Unfortunately, it's got this big indentation, which would be, if it didn't have that, it would be a lot nicer, because that would mean I could drill a much smaller hole. I don't know if I have a bit that'll do this size hole without needing a drill press, which is mildly irritating. I'll also see if I can't find, it's made by a company called Amico. I bet they make drawings. So I'll just have to try and track down the drawings for this, or just grab a pair of calipers. But you know, here's just kind of a simple way of really weaponizing this. You know, so this was $7, $7 or $8, and I think $12. You know, it just makes it look a lot nicer. Okay, so I have finally found something that I really find rather irritating about this, which is that they have mounting holes, but there's no fucking clearance around the mounting holes. Like, you know, that's hot. This is hot, and this one's got a trace right next to it. I mean, look at how close that trace is. So if I put a fucking screw in that hole, there's any vibration, it's gonna go right through the solder mask and short this shit out. You know, and then the whole back is, I mean, like, for instance, this, well, I guess these are the same copper. It's just, it's not very good design. You want to allow, plenty of space around their holes. So what I'm actually probably going to do is I'm going to use the heatsink mounting holes, because you can see they kept the copper back on the top, but they didn't keep the copper back on the bottom, so I just, cut notches. I just sliced into the copper and peeled the copper back around these holes. So that means that I can now, mount it using these two holes, and it won't, even with all vibration or whatever, I have enough clearance that the head of a screw won't have any trouble, fitting through and, going into the metal with, without it having to worry about it vibrating. I mean, the board, will kind of tuning fork out a little bit like that. It might kind of wobble, but it's so light, I'm not really too concerned about that. But that is really something they should address. I mean, the 4 mounting holes are nice, but these mounting holes are completely unusable. This one's far too proximate to that heatsink, I mean, the screw heads are big. Like, let's see here. These are just, what I have over here, these are just a box of computer screws. But these are decent, kind of general screws. That's a pretty big one. Here's a decent size, just a generic, like, 632. And that fits through there, but look, that totally shorts out to the, that's sitting on the voltage regulator head, or the tab of it. I mean, over here, that's uncomfortably close to that banana, this plug here. This one over here is very much the same, and also, this whole, it kind of gets in the way of this, I mean, it's almost above the VN thing, over here, it's smooshing the resistors. So all of these mounting holes are basically, they're not useful because they're too close to, all of the other features on the board. I don't even know why they're there, frankly. I'd much rather have, one big hole in the middle, like, say, right here, where they don't, if they put one big hole, like, right there, you have enough clearance to give a nice, large diameter copper pull back, because this whole section of copper over here isn't doing anything, really. It's just, kind of, I don't think this was ever designed for anything but, just kind of running, as a board sitting on the desk. So in that situation, I don't know why they put mounting holes on it. It's always kind of the last mile that's the hardest part. Also, I know the heatsink's floating, but it would be really awesome if they included an insulating shim and a sill pad for people who were going to do something else like what I'm doing. Because I'm going to have to track down a sill pad. I have some somewhere. But that would be so much nicer, especially considering, for the cost of this fancy pants tube of heatsink compound, you could probably buy 2 or 3 sill pads. And this stuff is horrible. It's ghastly, it's messy, I don't like, I mean, I've used heatsink paste, and it's really not a very ideal solution, to be entirely honest. Well, there we are. So, obviously I still need to add the range switch. What I'll probably do is 0 to 500 milliamps and 0 to 5 amps. Which means I have to figure out the internal resistance of the panel meter. But, it's just my headphones. So obviously you can see right now my my power supply is clipping at 500 milliamps, or well, it's current limiting. So I should be able to go like that and just pretty much rail it, which I think is more or less harmless. Ooh, that's putting out a fair amount of power. So that was just 40 watts. And I can definitely feel it getting pretty warm. I mean, hell, even right now, this is 10 watts. It's 20 volts. And I probably should have heatsink gooped it, but it's tight. And, yeah, anyways. Yeah, you know, they say 12 watts, but this is definitely good for way more than that. Like, I'm easily pulsing 60 watts through that sucker. You know, 20 volts at 3 amps. Yeah, well, I mean, let's see. And there you go, 20 volts at 3 amps. And it's not thermally limiting within that period of time. So I'm pretty sure you could easily run 60 or 80 watts through this if you had proper heat sinking, which I don't have, but, you know, thermal mass gets me pretty far. So yeah, all I have to do at some point is figure out the, well, actually, I could do that right now without too much trouble. So the trick is you want to know what the voltage across the meter is at a current X. So I think what I will do, so these are, there's no threading in here, they're just run into the holes, and the thread on these is tapered. These are also not quite round, so they kind of self-tap. Actually. So what I'm going to do is so I will take my meter and which way. Just clip on there. Oops, assuming it doesn't come loose. This is not really the best. And these are $10 Amazon spring grabbers, and they are definitely, you can tell they were $10. So I think I can just I've been listening to music, which is why I've been kind of doing the silent thing. So let's go down to like 10 volts so that we're not dissipating as much power, and then go up to 500 milliamps. So this meter and the panel meter on my thing seem to agree pretty well. So we have, I'm going to trust this meter more. Well, hang on. So this is basically the 0. Now it's 0'd. So you just look straight on and you adjust that until it's 0. So the meter on there is reading high. So we have 0.175 volts. And that's I'll draw this a little more cleanly later on. So that's 5 watts. Anyways, so I'm gonna have to order like probably a big chunky power resistor, but that's simple enough to install. You just switch it between the, you switch it in across the meter, and it forms kind of an auxiliary shunt. That's actually what this hole is for. So we have V is equal to IR, or V over R is equal to I, V over I is equal to R. So we have 0.175 over 0.500. Now, unfortunately, it has been so long since I have done long division that I no longer remember how to do it. And that would be why Raptor Jesus invented calculators. So we just do so that gives us roughly 0.35 ohms. Which is fairly reasonable. So what this means is that 0.35 ohms, or well, the meter is full scale at 0.175. Wait, let me turn my sounding iron off. So the meter is full scale So what we need is we want 0.175 V at 5 amps. So obviously, again, Ohm's standard, bog standard Ohm's law, V over I is equal to R. So in this situation, assuming I can type, so in this situation, so we want 0.035 ohms for our shunt resistance, for our complete series resistance. So then what we have is, that means 0.035 is equal to 0.175 in parallel with our unknown resistance. So this is our shunt resistor here. So remember, standard law, 1 over 0.035 is equal to 1 over 0.175 plus 1 over Rx. So in this situation, we obviously just do subtraction, just standard commutation. So then we just work the math out. So we have 1 over 0.035. 35. So divide. So this is 28.57 roughly. 1 enter 0.175 divide 5.714. Subtract the 2, so 1 over Rx is equal to roughly 22.857, and then we just take the reciprocal. So that we have a 0.043 ohms. So I'm beginning to think it might be a good idea. So we want a rough R of 0.04375 ohms. So I'm beginning to think I may want to break into here. It's also possible that I could just, do some compounding. One thing you can do is by putting, like 10 ohm resistors in parallel with, what I could do is I could buy like a 0.45, and then you start putting like 1 ohm resistors in parallel with that until you drag the resistance down. I can probably fine tune for that. But anyways, so that's just kind of the simple working out what shunt resistor I need to properly get the full scale value I'd like. Anyways, yeah, a couple little minor caveats. I'll probably put nuts on here, but it's a nice little power supply. Actually, so I have these nice knobs, but I do believe that this is a, actually I'll measure it. It's either, yeah, these are intended for a 6mm shaft. You can see they're 0.22. They're 0.22, the hole is 0.22, depending on where you measure it. Whereas the shaft is 1/4 inch. So, of course, because annoying, that means they don't fit on there. I may just, actually, because this is, it's an interesting knob, but it's very heavy. It's intended to go on a rotary encoder that you can kind of spin. I think I'll leave it. Anyways, there you go.